Good to have the Whirlies on board. Hope they enjoyed that Shane's Rib Shack food. And Dennis White's up next. Dennis, talk about this Whirling team. What did you see in these guys tonight?
I saw a lot of intelligence. First of all, the gentlemen are students. They're students first and then athletes. One of the closest knit positions on a football field is the lineman. The lineman does a lot of things together. They watch film together. That is the largest group on a football field on a team is your offensive line, because your lineman, your defense and offensive lineman, because there's only 2 running backs. There's only 1 quarterback. There's only 2, 3 linebackers. But when you look at position-wise, the offensive linemen, those guys spend more time together. They become a very close-knit group, and it showed tonight. Those guys, and they was over there. They listened to each other. They came by, tickling each other while they were interviews. And offensive linemen are a totally different mindset of a group. They're very smart. They're very intelligent because they have a lot of things. They just don't only block. They have to know the scheme. They have to know the hole. They have to know when to put. So the offensive line has to do a lot.
And they're not all the same either. All those guys are a little bit different within their own right, which made it kind of interesting too.
Right, like a stew pot, like a very different mixture in a stew pot. But when you put it all together, you come out with a great feast of stew, and that's the way those guys are. And then they are very respectful. The linemen are the quiet guys. They don't be the ones, the rubber rousers in the locker rooms. And offensive linemen are always low key guys. Yeah, your defensive guys. Those are the more aggressive guys. The linemen are the passive guys that they know their job. They carry out it well. They're the solid assassins. They're gonna move you, get you out the way because that's their job.
And they got to come off that line as a unit too. They're like a team. A lot of chemistry among those guys. That's a special group. And thanks to Coach Ress for making sure those guys got here tonight. When I first talked to Coach Ress, I said, "Can you get me a couple of guys up here?" He said, "Well, Scott Johnston's headed toward 102 Jams. I think he's going to be the player of the week over there tonight." So he was moving on. And then he mentioned some other guys. Some guys were going with Scott. He said, "But I want to do this." And Coach Neal agreed. Let's get that offensive line. I said, "Well, sent about a few guys over." He said, "No, we got to send it. This is a group. These guys all do everything together." So we got the whole group in, and good to have all those guys.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
I like the way that turned out, having them all in.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Back in my high school days in South Carolina, the offensive linemen, they all had red T-shirts on, line busters, and that's what that group was called. That group, they go to the movie together. They did a lot of things together, and I always wanted to be with the lineman group, but because of the relationship they had with the coach, and the coach always took care of his linemen because there was only a few of them,
Exactly.
And so like the coach did tonight was able to take care of those guys, and so I love it. It like you're saying, and there's a camaraderie there. They're a unit, and they know that the game end and begin with them when they have the ball.
Well, let's go back to last week. How about that Dudley Smith game last week?
That was outstanding scenery for the backyard brawl. The crowd was certainly not disappointing for the crowd. They came in as a great gate for the Panthers.
I never really got a chance to look at that crowd much. I know there was a large group of people there, but so much focusing on the game, didn't really study the crowd. Pretty good turnout there.
Yeah, a wonderful turnout for the Dudley and Smith game, but consequently, when you looked at the play on the field, Dudley defense was awesome. That defense, it was just planted there on their territory that nobody is going to get 5-10 yards on us. And they held Smith the whole night to -, yards to a certain part of the game. If you go back and add up, Smith probably had 5 total yards due to the way that defense. And it was a showing of Emmanuel Moses that Coach Davis was very disappointed in the play of his star quarterback, because, and I agree with Coach Davis, what Coach Davis is saying, the future, Emmanuel, and you said it as well, and that offense is going to have to step up for them to go further and deeper in the playoffs.
Kind of think about that game, and coming off Smith and Dudley last Friday, you got Page and Grimsley tomorrow night. You never know what to expect. I mean, there have been cases in recent years where Page just come in and completely flattened Grimsley and just steamrolled him, just ran right over the top of him. Grimsley coming off a big win against Southern Alamance. Page coming off a tough loss as they dropped that game to Southeast Guilford. That may give Page a little bit of a spark, knowing that they lost that game, because they can't afford to lose another conference game. They would go 0-2 if they drop that game tomorrow night. Grimsley is saying, well, we played well against Southern Alamance. We've got to carry that over to the Page game. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, Page is going to be the favorite team going in because of the past experiences and the way Page has played the past several years against Grimsley. But that Grimsley crew, they get some going right, they got a chance.
Yeah, and
it's funny that Jacob Simpson's not playing much. He's back, but he's playing a little wide receiver.
And Stinson's at quarterback.
Yeah, Stinson's at quarterback. Yeah.
And that's something that we've seen. Let me jump to that record. That's something we've seen majority of the year. A lot of these quarterbacks, they have the second strings that's coming in. We've seen it over at Western Gifford. We've seen it at Smith.
That's true.
They're bringing these guys in, and they're spark plugs to be the backup quarterback.
And the thing they're running quarterbacks too.
Exactly.
They want these guys to run.
They can run, and they bring a spark. They add a spark to the team because when you're a one-dimensional quarterback, the defensive guys know that, and that's become your weakness. But when I think this year, I think Grimsley, all depends on which Grimsley show up. They've been a little Jekyll and Hyde.
It was amazing how they started that year at 2-0, and they beat Southern Guilford 32-0.
That's right.
And Southern, I'm pretty sure, had Gillespie that game, and then they dropped the next 3 or 4 games, just kind of flattened out, kind of bottomed out. Then they came back with 55 points last week, and going, man, this is unreal what Grimsley put up against Southern Alamance. Southern Alamance is not a slouch, maybe not the best defensive team in the world, but still, I mean, gosh, they only had one loss coming in. Southern Alamance might have played some teams, some say may not be the greatest, but they played some decent competition. But boy, Grimsley really got going last week. Can they make it happen again and carry it over to tomorrow night? That's the question.
I think they can, and matter of fact, and I believe they will, because right now, this is the best year going in that I see Grimsley have an opportunity to beat Page. Normally, you wouldn't even give Grimsley a shot, but I'm giving Grimsley a shot this year based on Southern. They beat Southern. They stopped Reggie Gillespie, the best back in Gifford County, one of the leading backs in Gifford County, and they kept Southern, which is not a slouch at all. Southern have a lot of weapons, and they kept them scoreless. And then they beat a struggling Ragsdale that normally come in and wallop Grimsley. So Grimsley has been able to maintain his own, but when Grimsley players went out, anytime you are rebuilding and you have 7 or 8 guys out, it's hard for any team in Gifford County to win ball games. Even Dudley, if Dudley have 7 or 8 guys out on their offense, it'd be hard for them guys to win games. So when your offensive guys, the defensive stars is out, it's hard to win ball games. But Grimsley will be determined tomorrow under Coach Pat Neal to try to come in and beat Page, because they can do it with their defense, because Jalen Gavin is the only weapon that Page have. So if you can stop Reggie Gillespie and his team goes scoreless, if you can come in and maintain and contain Jalen Gavin, which is offensive weapon of Page, you might have a chance to win tomorrow night.
Yeah, the hard thing about Gavin versus Gillespie, Gavin just can do so many different things.
Very versatile,
and he can be a lot of different places at the same time. Very deceptive, because he can be here, he can be there, he can be a quarterback, he can be a wildcat back, he could be a slot back, he could be a receiver. Anyway, you get his hands on the ball, that kid, and he's got a lot of drive, a lot of determination. That will make, I asked the guys, now, who's your public enemy number 1 on the Page team? They all agreed it's Jalen Gavin. You got to really focus on him as far as the defense goes. And you talked about Northwest earlier too, about their possibilities in there. They're playing High Point Central tomorrow night. Now Northwest is no longer 6-1; they're now 7-0.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
For Northern Guilford.
That
is just crazy that Northern forfeited a second game today, and now Northwest Guilford, the Vikings say, hey, we'll take that win.
Yeah,
we're 7-0.
You're exactly right.
And that wasn't even a close game.
Right, and you've been involved with high school football forever. I can't recall a team having 2 forfeits in a year, especially on a technicality.
Well, the Northwest game came before the Williams game, so if you're saying if it happened after the Williams game, shame on me if you hit me once, shame on me or you if you hit me twice, whatever. But it came early, so it happened early in the season, and then they corrected things from that point on. They're hoping everything's in shape now, but boy, it's just crazy that now Northern's going to go with 2 losses, and both of those coming for using too many JV players in a varsity game.
Yeah, and that's and it can be a blessing.
And the thing about it, it's going to kind of change around some of the focus going to Friday too, because the focus is on Page and Grimsley always going in, and even on Northwest Guilford High Point Central. That's a huge game out there tomorrow night. But now everybody's going to be talking tonight, tomorrow, during the day, up in at least game time about Northwest Guilford, about Northwest now 7-0, and about Northern Guilford, their second forfeit.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's going to certainly be the talk. And if you, the Northwest guys, as you said, you got to be thankful for their gift because you're taking any way you can get it, and you earned that one by not even had to go and win it. You got a gift.
And that takes me to my next step. You got Northwest Guilford now unbeaten going against High Point Central. Northern picks up another loss, a forfeit loss. Now, how about Eastern Guilford? I got to go out and play Northern tomorrow night. That's like going to Jacoa Silva, that Indian gentleman here earlier was not the Native American. That's like the big chief coming out with a big tomahawk chop.
Oh, yeah.
They got to take that on tomorrow night. That is going to be crazy at Northern. Man, we're going out there now with a chip on our shoulder like you never seen before. Because we got 2 losses, both by forfeit. Here comes Eastern Guilford in. They want to try to sneak in and get a conference win, knock off the top dog Northern, and now Northern's be saying, we're ready to kill somebody.
That's right. Northern is a team of pride because you don't want to be the team known as Northern. You're the ones that broke the streak. You're the group that broke the winning streak, 33-game winning streak. Now it's broken by forfeits.
Yeah, they would be at 36 straight wins now.
Right.
If you don't include the forfeits. They did forfeit the 2 games, but if those losses that came off the field were not included, they would now have a 36-game winning streak going. 29 up to this year, then 7 more this year.
Exactly. And so with those 2 that is going in, so Northern, you don't want to be the guys known as we the team. We are the guys that the streak was broken on. So they're going to make a statement. In Northern Guilford will be in good shape playoff time come because now that's going to put them in a seed in a bracket that could be lower seed. It's going to be a lower seed bracket, but that could be a blessing in disguise because now you may play teams with a less record than you would if you was in the top seed.
Talking a whole scenario, what if you're Eastern Guilford and Northern Guilford, you go out for the coin toss, the coin is in the air, and Northern wins the toss. What are you going to do? We defer. How'd you like to be the first Eastern Guilford back to get the ball tomorrow night? That Northern defense, it's going to be like that movie Fast Times at Ridgemont. That guy's brother, he got his cars destroyed, torn up. He's in the middle of whoa.
Yeah. I would not want to be the offensive coordinator tomorrow at Eastern Guilford because anything you dial up, those guys
you're playing 22 guys.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be playing like there's a man in the back pocket.
They are. They got, like you saying, and those guys have a chip on their shoulder, and those guys have a lot to prove. We are the champs of Greensboro, Guilford County, and we're going to show you why.
And everybody else can be telling you they got 2 losses. They're 5-2.
Yeah.
And then some guys are going to come up like Connell Maynard said last night, talking about his team was ranked 16th in the country, having played for the national championship last year. Initially, they've only got 1 loss, UNC Pembroke. Connell Maynard says the guys who put that poll together, they got the mind of a jackrabbit.
Right.
I love that comment. I love that quote. That guy's got the mind of a jackrabbit. Whoa.
You're exactly right to put it Winston-Salem State at 16. But when you look at Northern, Andy, you are right. Northern tomorrow is going to try to blow up their scoreboard, and they're going to really take it to Eastern Guilford. Coming in, Eastern had an easy game against Burlington Williams, who was 2-4 at the time, and you were 6-0. And at home, your homecoming, and you lost 19-6. That's a hard loss for Eastern, and then you got to play Northern. You want to at least win that conference game to come in at Northern. At least you'll come in feeling confident from the win last week.
Well, how about Northwest, High Point Central? We just talked about Eastern and Northern not wanting to be Eastern tomorrow night when they get the ball. Northern's on defense because Northern playing like they got 22 men on the field. And I hope they don't have any JV extra players there.
Yeah.
Looking out for that.
They're doing a recount.
I'm into that. Lately, I've been doing every game I watch lately. After we watched that Southwest Guilford game, Southwest was playing a lot of game with 10 men on the field at one time. Remember that?
Yeah.
They didn't have enough men out there. I'm thinking, when I go out there now, if I'm a defensive leader, I'm counting everybody on the field. I'll make sure everybody's there.
Right.
A roll call,
Right. You're exactly right.
What about this High Point Central Northwest game? This gives Northwest, they're going in now 7-0. Here they go, taking on the High Point Central team led by this kid, Jamel Mack, who's one of the best backs in the entire state now. What about that big matchup out of Northwest? That takes some kind of a whole new meaning now, too.
You're exactly right. Last week, High Point Central came up a big win over undefeated East Recite. And Jamal Mack and Mr. Pratt, they had a lot of hookups, and they did an outstanding job. The defense did an outstanding job for Coach Jones over at Simeon Stadium. And I said to you, Andy, last week that it's hard to beat High Point Central at Simeon Stadium. But this game at Northwest, They're sitting in tomorrow.
That's at Northwest.
It's at Northwest. So you come into the friendly confines of Northwest where that student body is going to be the 12th man. Not a JV player, but it's going to be a 12th man. And that 12th man is hard. Northwest and High Point Central, that's going to be the game of the month right there, because that's going to put both of those teams in a category for the end of the season on where they're going to be.
And the crazy thing is, if Northwest beats Central, then later on Eastern Scythe ends up beating Northwest. They've had a three-way tie. A couple of times in recent years anyway. Could have a three-way tie again.
You're exactly right. And so that's what I was saying, that would make a hard bracket to fill for the committee, because those three teams, as you said, that can be a three-way tie in that conference. And so, Andy, if there's a three-way tie in that conference, I know not to jump in too far ahead, how would the seedings be? You know, the team that scored more, if that's the way that they go by.
They may have to go right to the hat.
Right. And pull 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And
in order just to have for seeding purposes.
Right.
Get something done.
Yeah, that you're right. That can really shake things up. So Coach Jones need the victory tomorrow to keep that confusion down.
He can keep it going. He can eliminate everything if he wins tomorrow night against Northwest. He's in the driver's seat. They haven't beaten the top two teams.
Right, exactly.
Central wins that game tomorrow night.
And that's going to be a great game, because, like you said, it was very interesting. You said you wanted to see what Jamal Mack numbers was.
Yeah.
So I looked. Jamal Mack had an outstanding game. He had one of the best games, Coach Jones said, of his career.
He sure did.
Against East Forsyth. Because that was the thing you was wondering when I told you to score 32-16. You said, I got to wonder what kind of game Jamal Mack having, because he's the catalyst of that team.
He's only a junior, too.
Yeah. One more year, that guy. Woo.
Wow. Next year, going into senior year, he keeps finishing up this year strong. Going into his senior year, he's going to get a lot of attention.
Yes, sir. You're right about that, John.
And the wild thing is, we've had guys like Eric Ebron has sat here at Shane's Rib Shack. Guys like DJ Reader playing on Saturday night, number 3 team in the country, coming up against Florida State. Ebron's on TV right now against Miami Hurricanes. Had the Stagnant brothers, had TJ Logan, had all these guys that come through. Daniel, anyway, all these guys that came through are good people over the years. But tonight you got Miami and North Carolina. Who you favoring in this game?
Well, I'm on Tar Heel. I've got to stay with my Tar Heels.
That means you guys got to win this game.
Yeah, we got to win this game. It's going to be very interesting, Andy. TJ Logan is going to get a lot of playing time. And so,
Carolina's wearing the black uniforms tonight, too. Wearing the black.
Yeah, it looked like it's on already, like it got started already.
Yeah, wearing that black tonight. Black with the blue trim.
And there we will look like they going to Eric Ebron right now as we look at intercepted right now. But it's going to be a great game. We're looking forward to it as it's getting started as we speak.
How about Florida State and Clemson this coming Saturday night? What a game that's going to be.
And then last week, Clemson struggled badly. But they did pull it off. DJ Reader almost got the fumble.
He almost got that ball.
He was 2 steps away.
Were you watching that one too?
Yeah, I was right there.
I was watching that too. Wow.
Yeah.
Tosh was so close.
Yeah, that deep. And now people are looking at ways to get to Tosh Boyd. And so now, could it be Tosh Boyd no longer have time like he had in the past for Sammy Watkins? So they didn't. He had only had 1 touchdown to Sammy Watkins. They was pressuring the Tosh Boyd all night long. So I haven't seen anybody put that much pressure on Boyd. Florida State is going to bring the heat to Boyd. So I think Florida State will win this ball game.
Florida State beats Clemson.
Florida State beat Clemson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, how about the Panthers, St. Louis Rams? I found a Panthers Sunday who I think is the most underutilized player on that team. He showed a lot last Sunday. This is my man. This guy gets more involved in the offense. This could turn the Panthers season around. The fullback, Mike Tolbert, out of Coastal Carolina. That guy, he took a little shuttle pass from the quarterback Cam Newton, hit that defense, hit that end zone touchdown, and I think he made another touchdown later too. That guy showed me a bunch.
Yeah,
I like that guy. I'd use him more.
Right.
He's a tank.
And you're exactly right. And Andy, we are very fortunate that we're going to go to that game Sunday.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to go down. We try to catch one Panther game a year. That's a vacation day for us, a day that we are able to just take a break from everything once a year and catch a Panther game. So we're going to see them in the Rams. So hopefully we're going on good foot. Every time we go, they come off a win, then the Sunday we there, they lose. So I hope we break that.
Yeah, break that.
Break that curse, so to speak.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I hope they do win that game on Sunday. I guess that's a 1 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah,
at
1
Bank of
o'clock
America
kickoff.
Stadium. Yeah.
Bank of America Stadium. We're looking forward
get to
to
see
it.
Cam Newton. Get to see D'Angelo Williams, Mike Tolbert, Brandon LaFell, Steve Smith. LaFell's having a good run lately.
He's having a great run.
Playing solid football.
Yeah, he's doing. Panthers is doing last week against the Vikings. Even though you know that the tragedy for Adrian Peterson, but the Panthers went out and they took care of business. They looked like the Panthers in the first 2 ball games of the year.
And the crazy thing is that the 48-0 win over the Giants, and then last week's game, the 2 games they've won, they've just been totally dominant in. And in the 1 game they got whipped up against the Arizona Cardinals, they just got flattened out in the second half.
Yeah.
But they've got possibilities,
right.
But they got to get some consistency.
You're exactly right. Like the Buffalo and the Seattle game, when you had the game wrapped up and wasn't able to hold on to it. So, and the thing I want to say to you about the Page Pirates, Page have lost the three games they've lost. They tried to make a comeback in the 4th quarter, and it's hard to come back in the 4th quarter. And so that's what we've seen Page do all year long. Even in the Northern game, they try to play from behind. Last week's Southeast game, they try to play from behind. The East Forsyth game, they try to play from, but it's hard.
Got to make sure you don't wait too late.
Yeah,
can't wait too late.
Can't wait too late.
It's going to be interesting too. Down the road, a collision course is being laid out between Dudley and the Southeast Guilford Falcons. Last game of the regular season. That Southeast could come down to that big one there, but everybody's got to take care of all the business in between.
Exactly, and that's the thing, Andy, that we've talked about. You can't look past the opponent on Friday night for next Friday. That could have been the case with Easton Guilford last week. Looking past Brolton Williams, wanting to get ready for Page Pirates. Page looking and trying to look past Southeast and get ready for Grimsley. You've got to play the games there. You can't worry about what's next. You got to take care of business night in and night out.
Take care of some basketball business real quick. Closing it out at Shane's Rib Shack. Get ready to roll out here for a Thursday night. Thanks to the Grimsley Whirlies that came in this evening. Good job on those young men who stopped in tonight. Ben Weekly came by. Also Brian Fuquay, Lauren Bibler, Clark Al, Austin Floyd, Grayson Jeffries, Jacoa Silva, and Jordan Garner. And Dennis is with us. What about this basketball setup quickly, Dennis? You got Duke number 1, UNC number 3, State number 10, Wake Forest number 13. I guess Duke has got to be number 1. Do you think Carolina's rated too high at number 3? Do you think Wake is too low at number 13? Let's just look at those 2.
No, I think they're right. I think that's a good rating.
UNC's right?
Yeah, UNC is right at the 3 due to P.J. Harrison to be back. And
somebody said he may not be back now.
Is that changed up?
Heard something maybe came out today. They got a movie they're filming in Wilmington called Evil Knievel 2. He may be in that movie and may have to miss the entire basketball season. Evil Knievel 2. I'm waiting to see if that's true.
Before I go and become a daredevil again, I hope he'd be able to shoot some threes. Roy Williams and put everything he had.
He might get shot out of a cannon. Yeah.
That's right.
So you think the UNC, that number 3 is good?
Number 3 is good. Yes, sir.
What about the Wake Forest number 13?
Right there at Wake, coming off last year, not doing outstanding at all. So I think they are in the right spot.
And this NC State at number 10, you think that's about right?
That's about right. NC State last year was at number 1, and they wasn't able to hold that spot preseason going in, and they've lost a lot of their players, and so I think that's at a good spot.
Yeah, Lorenzo Brown is gone.
Yeah.
Lorenzo Charles is really
gone. Yeah.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys left NC State. Tyler Lewis back, and T.J. Warren back. That's going to be T.J. Warren, the main part of their offense. What about this right now? Let's ask you about this. Shane's Rib Shack. Wings, ribs, barbecue, Big Dad, chicken salad. What's on the menu tonight?
I think the ribs. I've seen a lot of ribs go out of here tonight, so I think.
So you might get the rib sandwich.
Yeah, the rib sandwich, either the rack. I think I'm going to splurge tonight a little bit. I've got a little extra money for some ribs, so I think I'm going to go to ribs tonight.
I thought Coach Ress left us on the side there.
He left.
Yeah.
He had a wad of hundreds. So.
Wow, I haven't heard that term in a long. A wad of hundreds is good. Let's hear for Coach Ress. Good job at Grimsley. Good job at his Whirlies. Big game against Page tomorrow night, and we may have to go down the
Yeah,
street.
he's going to need a water ribs for those guys, that offensive line for tomorrow night. He's going to need a water 100 for
And to
more
put those
ribs.
forearms into some ribs tomorrow night. No doubt about it. Dennis, enjoyed it. Busy
Enjoyed
night.
it, Don. Good
Busy
job.
night. Went quick. Don, good job on Don Moore's part. Don Moore at the sports desk tomorrow night. GSPN, Greensboro Sports. We'll have that for you and all the scores of all the games around the area. And the big game with us will be Page and Grimsley. We'll be down there for the game tomorrow night. And it's been a good Shane's Rib Shack football in focus. Again, thanks to all the Grimsley guys. And that's all about it. That offensive line coming in together, sticking together, and hanging as a unit.
Yeah, and then I was, every time I look up, another one was coming in the door. I was like, how many offensive linemen they have? But those some big guys, and they're excited. And coming in on a football focus show, wherever we are, coaches have been saying that you hear it, not hear it. Whenever Greensboro sports is on the scene, the kids, that give the kids that extra incentive to play harder because they're playing in front of the best media in the state of North Carolina. And so that makes a lot of excitement when they see us on the scene. So those guys tonight, they have a lot to take away. We was on the Andy Durham show last night, Paige, so we're ready.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
That's what I say. We'll see you again next week, Shane's Rib Shack.